When you think things can't get more corrupt, more troubling developments tonight out of the great state of Georgia, as we are now learning that an executive at the, quote, nonprofit that is assisting in the Georgia recount has a history of virulent anti-Trump tweets and has repeatedly expressed his hatred for the president. For example, 2018, Ben Adida tweeted, quote, F Donald Trump and all his enablers. Nice guy. Also called the GOP rotten to the core. Now he's the director at a San Francisco-based company called Voting Works. They were hired by that genius idiot, really, Georgia Secretary of State, to provide logistics and assistance and technical support during the so-called Georgia audit. But does that sound like someone who's unbiased? Does that sound instill any confidence in our election process in the state of Georgia? Remember, the dopey Secretary of State made a deal after being sued by Democrats to have two different verification systems. A very easy one for mail-in ballots and a very rigid one for day-of voters. And meanwhile, there's still more questions than answers out of Fulton County. That's the largest county still not to have their recount, prompting criticism from the Secretary of State. A little late. Here to explain more, author of Don't Lie to Me, host of Justice, Judge Jeanine Pirro, along with co-author of Trump America First and Trump 2016 Deputy Campaign Manager Dave Bossie. I understand you made a full recovery. You doing well?
I am, Sean. Thanks very much. Appreciate
Glad to hear it. All right, Judge, we'll start with you. You see what's happening in Georgia. Now, the Georgia Secretary of State, if you mailed in a ballot, they had a whole different signature verification system. He made this consent deal with Democrats. Okay, that was a less stringent standard. Now, the governor can call the legislature back in session and fix it. He says he has no power. He does have the power. When you look at this bias going on with this company, why are they even in the state?
All right, let me tell you what's going on in Georgia. There is a fundamental problem in Georgia, and that problem is that the people who are counting votes and the attempt at this runoff election, and Raffensperger, the Secretary of State, appointing this guy Adida, who hates Trump, who hates Republicans, who's donated to Democrats, says Republicans are willing to live with fascism. He is now part of the strategy that is actually going to audit the presidential election. So, but let's get to the more fundamental issue, Sean, and that is that when Raffensperger, the Secretary of State, cut a deal with Stacey Abrams, then what happened was they violated the United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 4, because in the state of Georgia and in every state in this country, you cannot change the election law in a federal election unless the legislature does it. So in this state, as far as I'm concerned, the state, that when they change that law, those votes cannot be counted. And Linwood is going into the 11th Circuit. The answer should be in there soon, and then he can then take that to the Supreme Court. There is all kinds of fraud going on in Georgia, and that's why the people in Georgia don't even want to vote for the runoff.
Well, I'm telling you right now, if you want the president investigated in perpetuity by Pelosi's House and by a Democratic Senate, potentially, depending on the final outcome here, and his agenda undone, that would be beyond dangerous. But Republicans, they better understand in Georgia, all things now, a lot is hanging in the balance there. Dave Bossie, your take on it all.
Yeah, we need to investigate the auditors at this point. This is outrageous. Look, we now see that an organization that Stacey Abrams and Warnock were running is now under investigation by the state for running an organization that was sending ballots to people who lived outside of the state of Georgia. It is outrageous. This is the Senate candidate and his organization doing this. This is unheard of corruption. This needs to be investigated thoroughly and very quickly. We don't have the time to stand around waiting on this. America and our future is at stake. The filibuster is at stake. Every policy decision is at stake, whether Republicans have the majority or are in the minority, and it means everything to the American people and to the 75 million people, especially, that voted for Donald Trump.
Quick legal question, Judge. All these people that testified today and signed these legal affidavits under the threat of perjury, is that considered evidence?
Absolutely, that's evidence. That is evidence.
So.
That creates a basis. Yeah, and by the media telling you it's not evidence, don't listen to them. Look, the general fraud that occurred in the state of Georgia will continue in the runoff unless we stop it. They have it teed up right now to a perfection. And until we stand up, or until the courts, either through the 11th Circuit or the 3rd Circuit in Pennsylvania, take this up to the Supreme Court, we know we've got the evidence. Stop letting people tell you that we don't have the evidence, because we do. And this is only going to continue. This fraud will continue, and America will be doomed for the next 20 years.
All right. Thank you both. Dave, welcome back. We're glad you're feeling better. Thank you. All right, when we come back.